Hello. This is Pup in the Life in a very, very, very cold morning in November. And it's one of the first of its kind, meaning all the people that say that climate change isn't real, please get outside, come to where we live, and see for yourself. It is very much real. Anyways, it's a Monday. It's been a weekend of many things. Actually, been working on the surprise I told you I had with the first 100 episodes of the book, and yeah, it's been great, very hot, and of course again, it's great for human standards, but not for so much for planet Earth standards. And we've done so many things. I witnessed Mom talking as a speaker at an event where I've never seen her before, doing that, and you know, we hang out quite a lot, which was very, very cool. And Mom just unwinded a little bit, and just starting off this whole week of traveling and speaking and many, many things. Well, November is a quite busy month. And to be honest, there was something that I wanted to talk about, and I've been wanting to talk about for days that I haven't, because, yeah, it's been a weekend. That is two things that apparently happen probably for a reason, somehow as coincidences or however you want to call them. Where the first thing was, Mom just met a person working, not like he was like a waiter, working at one of her favorite restaurants. I would say her favorite restaurant in town, where she would hang out a couple of days ago for aperitivo. And I know we were there just looking at the people, how a restaurant is working, what people do when they come into a restaurant. Mom has a digital business, so it's quite nice to go see how they manage it in retail. And and so we were there. We were just, looking around, seeing what they were doing, how things are going. And she started chatting with this guy who's not always there. Kind of a call worker. So basically, like, he's there when they need him. And so she started talking to the guy, and the guy happens to have two jobs. So like a job, and then this waiter job for, which he comes on call. And so they started chatting, and the guy's like, yeah, I'm a driver, and I'm trying to learn to get this new driver's license for trucks and whatnot. But I do this, I do that, I try to do. And the guy literally said, I do what they need me to do inside the company. And I try to make my best to be useful. And then he stops and says, anyways, I am also trying to switch jobs, which doesn't come as a surprise, because a person that usually levels up their skills might just want to change jobs because he realizes he can be paid more or have better conditions somewhere else. And so I'm like, okay, I know people who are working at employers agencies and HROs and whatnot. Like, if you want, I can try and help you out. And the guy's like, yeah, the only thing I know I want is, not to get to a place where there are bigger problems, and where he gets me, like, he tells me something on the lines of where the payoff is not greater than the pain. Because if I need to look at the pain is always quite big. And so the guy's like, this is just to also say something. This guy doesn't come from Europe, guy from Asia, so probably totally another culture of way of seeing, how the job market works, and also what life entails us to do. Because he was kind of very zen about it all, and he was like, yeah, I just don't want to have bigger problems, because if I need to look at problems and just problems, I mean, every company has problems. Every place has issues to solve. Every job requires sacrifice, requires effort, requires hustle, requires being there. And I just want to be paid a bit more if I can. So guys, maybe even too realistic for his own possibilities, because the probably are higher. So it's like a kind of a very, very low key and not so pumped up guy. Very, providing a reason, a way to see humility in another person. And so this guy, who we're going to call Mike because it's easier, Mike just says every job has its problems. And I'm not delusional about the fact that I'm not going to have probably new problems rather than my old job. And this was, you can say, like, it's kind of a very easy thing to say, but kind of enlightening, because we're always caught up in, oh my God, like I want to switch jobs because this has this problem, this problem. But are you sure that your next job will be free of problems? Are you sure that the next thing is going to be the next big thing, next shiny object closer to you? It's going to be easier, or it's going to be more rewarding. Well, you are actually not, and you will never be until you try. But is it good to leave the old thing behind and not try to try it long enough and make it work for you? Of course, the answer depends on many things, but this is something that I think should be something of interest. And connected to this, the other thing that we saw was that mom was actually looking at Instagram post that, provided context to a podcast, to an interview that Jeff Bezos was giving. And the guy was like, we are always talking about stress, as especially for leaders, especially for high-end people, people that, have a big responsibility job, people that, work in contexts that are quite stressful and that require lots of responsibility. They require lots of decision making that can be stressful for people. And so the guy's like, it stops and he says, why can't we delegate stress? Why can't we find a way for which to delegate many things in life? And why can't we delegate stress? Why can't we try to eliminate that thing and give it away? Not always, but most of the time. And then he stops again and says, like, his crazy ass concept to be delegating an emotion, a feeling, something that you are experiencing. He stops and says, okay, but what if we weren't so overscheduled? And now you might want to say, yes, he's Jeff Bezos. He's always in the possibility of asking his people for him not to be overscheduled. But remember what we talked about in the Founders Mode topic, in the Founders Mode episodes, where you would find yourself literally handling things that people inside your company aren't able to handle or don't have the incentives to handle, especially in a startup. And now you might want to say, okay, but Amazon is not a startup any longer, and you would be right. But please don't forget that Amazon itself was actually ran by Jeff Bezos himself as a CEO up until some years ago. So, that stands, but that doesn't stand 100%. So Bezos, I guess, like, he really knows what he's talking about, right? And so he's like, I try not to be overscheduled, meaning I try to have time to think. I try to have time to be bored. I try and strive to have time to make out time, as we previously said. I try not to, to have my day, let's say, and my time managed by my schedule. And sometimes mom finds herself in kind of the same situation where if you don't have it in the calendar, the thing kind of doesn't exist. And frankly, like, it's not very good, but at the same time, it's super practical. But does practicality come at the cost of actual results and actual well-being, which is, in the end, a result? And frankly, the answer is, well, it probably does sometimes. So the purpose of this episode is to be talking about some weekend that has been a bit stressful in his own existence, because mom has thought about work things, because it's normal to be stressed about them. But at the same time, you applied for this, you are on the line to, as we said in the previous podcast, to die at some point, because that's the game you're playing, and you're on the line to understand that there is way worse in life than just having some problems in your company. And just as mom's co-founder says, ciao Alberico, it's more of a, don't make a storm inside a glass of water. And to be honest, I think that's what also Bezos was thinking about. And I'm trying to have a cookie. Vuoi un biscottino? Un biscottino? Sì, un biscottino. And that is the whole point. Because if you make a storm out of a glass of water, how about when the storm really, really, really hits you? And so I'm not sure, and I'm totally honest with you, I'm not sure how we can all delegate stress and trying to be less stressed. To be honest, I really don't know. But at the same time, I think that we can all try and understand that once you feel that overwhelm, once you feel that feeling, once it really hits you, you probably shall just stop. You shall just stop and realize that even in the worst of ways, even in the worst moment that you can imagine for your company, meaning probably your company just shuts down because nobody wants your product anymore, because investors don't like you, because this, and that. And then we're going to also talk about investors and VC market in one of the coming episodes, because market right now is kind of low, and to be honest, potentially is very frustrating for people to be just dealing with such market right now. But it's not the topic of this podcast. But again, it's something that potentially is a stress lever that really doesn't help you out. And to be honest, it shouldn't. And I'm not saying that this game should be stressful, but that you shall take the stress that it gives you to create something better for yourself, to create better conditions to be working in, to be creating something that's more meaningful, that's more powerful, and that helps you out be the person you want to be in the company, to just deliver on what you can and what you have planned to do in your actual company. So in the reason why you actually created that company, as well as with the people around you. Because at the end of the day, the reason, whatever is the reason actually that moves you to be an entrepreneur, a founder, a person that gives it all in their job, is actually to be able to provide better for yourself, your family, whomever is important in your life, your dog. In the case of mom, that's pretty big motivator right there. And so it all boils down to something that's pretty easy, pretty understandable, and that's not rocket science, even if sometimes it might just look like that. So I'm not sure that you can actually delegate stress, but I am sure that you can put some distance. And that's already something that could really, really, really help us all out once we start thinking and analyzing for real what it is that we're doing, and that if all comes down to a big pile of nothing, it's a game we were playing anyways. So it doesn't surprise me at all, and nor it should surprise you, because at least from what I know, nobody is as powerful as to just eliminate this. Not yet. But I'm sure mom would pick dogs for forever life rather than humans. But this is for another podcast. Things that humans need to be learning from dogs. Now, it's going to be a long day, so we'll better get to work. And I hope to see you around. I'm sending you kisses, hugs, and a bit of bugs.